SoFaygo finally responds to all the criticism for his Pink Hearts album. There are a lot of fans, and actually just, I wouldn't even call them fake fans, but just trolls. So personally, I don't know if he should be responding, but regardless, he spoke his mind, and I think he's right. But again, sometimes when you're a rapper or an artist, especially being signed to Travis Scott, or technically independent like he's saying, no hate, just trying to be objective here, that you might not want to convey this information, because as a rapper, you're supposed to be the one that's like super mysterious, or maybe not even mysterious. Like it's fine to express your thoughts, concerns, feelings, but you're supposed to be no red pill shit, but like alpha in a way, right? So like the fact that you're responding, it shows that it's getting to you, which we're all human. Not saying that's necessarily a bad thing, but let's check out the stories and then decipher what's really going on. So on his Instagram story, on his Finsta, he said, "Rather cut all you fake ass half supporters loose and rock with the people who really fuck with me. My fan base only gonna get stronger over the years. I'm already up financially, bruh. I don't need you, bruh. I just need my fans. I don't need critics telling me how to live my life or make my music. You go make $1 million, then since you know so much," which I'm not gonna lie, he low-key right. I mean, it's always best to cut people off every single album, because eventually when you're like 5-6 years down the line and he's still at the very beginning of his career, if he continues to pander to what the mass is telling him to do, and by the way, he's the artist, so really how he garnered a fan base was of his own creation, people trusting him to create the music that he wanted to do. So now that he drops an album and people aren't liking it or whatever, like if he continues to appease everybody or like the mass, then 6 years down the line, he's going to hate his own music because he's not doing what he wants to do. I feel like this is what happens to a lot of artists or just creators in general. I mean, I've even come into these sorts of problems when I was doing like strictly Uzi and Cardi content. That was what was working at the very beginning of my YouTube career. But then I just had to get out of it by taking a different route. Lost a lot of views, maybe subs, but eventually it just worked out better because now I feel like I have the freedom to talk about a wider range of topics that I'm interested in. Still not completely 100% there, and I don't think any artist gets to that point unless you're like Kanye. Even like Drake can't necessarily make any type of music that he wants to. Like, honestly, never mind. People were hating on that, but even so, he sold like what, 300K? So like he low-key can do whatever he wants if you go by the numbers. Now, people are claiming that he's talking about me being a critic of living his life and his music. You know what? I'll take it on the chest. That's fine with me. I mean, I'm just trying to give a perspective on the best way to market your career. Now, as the artist, as a human being, obviously he can do whatever the fuck he wants to do. I just like to give takes in music so that upcoming artists or people who aspire to be artists, haven't started yet, can kind of learn lessons, and myself, before they come into that situation themselves. Such as I was saying the entire time the past 2 years, SoFaygo even got mad at me at one point about saying that he's waiting too long because I predicted that this exact situation was going to happen. So I was like, yo, you need to like drop something. This is just like the new way of the internet, and to be a rapper, like you have to constantly feed the fans. You don't have to do it officially, but you know, like leak a couple songs. Leak. You're not Cardi yet. You can't just like dip for 2 years and come back and expect all the fans to be on your dick still. And that was the problem. Is it right that that's a thing? Not necessarily. Is SoFaygo wrong? No. However, that's just the way things are. So his reaction is valid, but he also should have come in knowing that that was going to happen. And that's all I was trying to do through my videos. I'm never a hater, I swear to you. People are trying to call me out. I'm like, yo, on my Pink Hearts album reaction, you can go back. I really liked the album. It was solid. It wasn't like just some underground regurgitated rage / massively distorted beats. Like it was actually some music that you can vibe to for the next year or so. Whereas a lot of this other underground crap is just like fast food music. Obviously music is subjective though, so a lot of the fans were hating on it, but I don't think it had to do with the music whatsoever. Fans were literally ready to hate on this album just because of the weight and just because of all of the other artists in this lane that he was the top of at one point, and I think we all know it, past him, such as Yeet, potentially like Summers, Destroy Lonely, Ken Carson. He was supposed to be the one selling 30K. Granted, he took a different route, like he went fully independent with a distributor, right? So he's doing his own thing. However, the fans just were not expecting that. They were rooting for you, and they just needed some ammo to defend you against the haters with the first week sales. And since it did not hit Billboard, it did not hit like 11K first week sales, they had no defense for you, bro. But again, completely support the message. I totally agree. He's got to live his own life, make his own music, or else he will not be fulfilled in life. And generally speaking, we live in a like player versus player simulation / world. So if you're not satisfied with yourself, then what's the point of living life on this rock that's floating in the universe, right? And he's rich, which he said making $1 million or whatever. I don't know how much money he making, but like at the same time, if you're making $1 million, why do you care what the regular plebeians are saying? But moving on, he responds to a comment that said, "You make it hard to be a fan, bro." And so SoFaygo says, then don't be one. Facts, bro. Like if you didn't like the album, scroll past. I don't know why so many people on the internet feel like they need to express their negative opinions on things. Like you can say it once, but then why are you following his Finsta with 5,000 followers that's private, acting like you a fan? Meanwhile, you're hating on it. I understand constructive criticism. There's better ways to convey this message to him. But as we said before, I don't know if SoFaygo makes it hard to be a fan. You should be a fan no matter what the general public says about whatever you like, because who gives a fuck what they say? But I agree that he made it hard with Pink Hearts to defend being a fan, I guess. Whereas like if you're a Yeet fan or a Youngboy fan or a Cardi fan, Uzi fan, like you go in a comment section, support your artist. Maybe you get somebody who attacks your thoughts on like whatever song they release. You got a whole army behind you who's gonna fight for you, being like, yo, he sold like 34K, he's #1 trending on YouTube, Cardi better, blah blah blah. Whereas SoFaygo right now, again, he waited 2 years, so he kind of dried out his fan base's hype. Again, it was all the narrative, wasn't the music whatsoever. He was kind of going into a battle with like 5 soldiers against a whole ass army. Then SoFaygo continues, "I don't speak much anymore because I know how you like to flip narratives and play dumb like you don't understand what I'm saying." I don't know about flipping narratives, but yeah, rappers a lot of times don't articulate themselves well on social media, and so the narrative does get flipped potentially from what they're trying to say in their head. I mean, look at what happened to Kanye. Not saying what he said is right, because we've spoken about this. He definitely should not have said it the way he said, but if you look deeper into his argument, he was singling out specific players in the media. But regardless, it's fine to not speak much anymore, and I think this is why a lot of rappers, upcoming and established, like Cardi or Uzi or Yeet or Ken Carson, Destroy Lonely, they all got their like specific languages, so that yes, they are speaking, but it can't really be derailed into another narrative, because you have to take it at surface level and it has to be decrypted in a way so you really don't know what they're saying. Whereas when you're speaking plain English, a bunch of people can interpret it a certain way to clown you. So I think that's why a lot of rappers don't speak anymore. But as I said before, you don't even need to necessarily speak. You can just leak music or randomly drop music on SoundCloud, because that is how artists speak. They have lyrics for a reason. Or you can respond to DMs or just give little hints here and there for the fan base throughout the weight of your album, because you know they're gonna screenshot that shit, and essentially, like the Cardi fan base, that is speaking for you. It's gonna create content for your fan base to feed off of without you actually speaking publicly, if that makes any sense. Finally, he says, "I'm only gonna get greater and greater, and my haters gonna get sadder. Pick a side. You gonna be a supporter or a hater?" Now, I disagree with that. I mean, he's gonna get greater and greater, but I don't think you have to pick a side. Like, you can like the music without being strictly a hater or supporter. I always hated when artists and fans make you be one or the other. You can pick songs that you like from an artist without dick riding them, but if you strictly like every single one of an artist's songs just because you want to be a supporter, you're almost hurting their career, because it's like a yes man bias where they're gonna think they're doing something crazy because they have so many cult-like followers who are saying yes, keep going, until that cult kind of like weakens a little bit, and then the general public's like, yo, this shit is ass. The haters are weird though. Like, I never understood the logic behind being a hater. Like, don't y'all have other shit to do, like go outside, or I don't know, go talk to girls? Like, if you're talking to chicks in real life, you're not going to be trying to argue with men in comment sections. I guarantee you that. You'll realize there's more to life than underground rappers, I assure you. And here's another thing that a lot of fans are getting at SoFaygo for, with him speaking up his opinions again in his Discord server where he banned someone. We're trolling him saying that he went triple cheeseburgers. Now, I agree with SoFaygo. Like, yo, if your Discord server is supposed to be your most hardcore fans, where you can speak directly to them, not just hate on you and be a troll. Like, obviously this person wasn't a fan if they were so ready to insult him in his own Discord server and then post how he got banned from the server and embarrass him publicly. Because as we discussed before, as a rapper, you're supposed to be the person who like doesn't get affected by other people's opinions, not only because you have to be an artist, although we all take criticism harshly sometimes, you know, we're human, but almost as a rapper, your persona means more than the music sometimes, in that if you don't believe that your album is great enough where you don't even need to speak to these haters because you know it's fire, then the fans will start believing it, almost like what everybody was discussing with Whole Lotta Red. However, I think Cardi kind of gave in a little bit too, kind of teasing the Whole Lotta Red Deluxe, but then he didn't end up doing it because then everybody started to like Whole Lotta Red afterwards. It grew on you. Then he said in his Discord server, I am a fully independent artist. Besides me being related to Cactus Jack, nobody sits in the studio and makes me do anything. I do this shit on my own terms, which I think is a blessing and a curse, as we discussed before, because with SoFaygo signing to Cactus Jack or being affiliated, whatever the relation is, people are expecting him to be like a mainstream artist, or at least on his way there. So when he did not hit billboards such as some of his competitors in this upcoming wave of rappers, that was why Pink Hearts was so harshly criticized, because he was supposed to be the guy with Travis Scott, who's one of the biggest, not even just artists in the world, but icons, dating Kylie Jenner, arguably one of the most famous women in the world. Travis Scott has collaborations with McDonald's, the biggest fast food company in the world, Fortnite, the biggest video game in the world, with Nike, the biggest shoe company in the world. You get the point. So when you're signed to Travis Scott, and I know Sheck West is more low key, so maybe SoFaygo's rocking that route as well. He doesn't want to be in the limelight because the fans are annoying. Who knows? But maybe if you wanted to be independent, going Cactus Jack wasn't the right move. But ultimately, that's up to him. He knows best in his own situation. Although I personally, if I was the management, would not have done that. But overall, he said his piece. I think he should quiet down now. Maybe speak about it in his music or respond to it in a less sensitive way. Because again, as a rapper, you're kind of expected to be a little bit cocky, of a chip on your shoulder, because you know that you're alpha. But if you're responding to the criticism in such a way, it almost evokes this feeling that you're not that confident in your music. You feel me? But what do I know? Y'all let me know in the comments what you think about this situation. Is SoFaygo doing the right thing, being half independent? Is he right in his response to all the criticism? Do you agree with all my thoughts regarding being a supporter and a hater? Because as you can probably tell, I'm not necessarily on the side of being a supporter or being a hater. Like, I'm trying to be objective, but I do support all of these artists in like how they move, regardless if they like me or not. Even the ones that be dissing me, I'll give a compliment where credit's due. Like, shit, the internet is all a game anyway. It ain't real life. I'm not gonna see most of these people anyway. But with all that being said, it has been your boy Bobbalam signing off, banning SoFaygo from Miami. He can never come here unless he checks in. Make sure to like and subscribe on the Bob Gang if you with it. Peace out, clap. Nicey.